Hello students, today we will be doing chapter 5 of your book Footprints Without Feet, and the name of the chapter is also Footprints Without Feet, written by H.G. Wells. Dear students, the story is about a brilliant scientist whose name is Griffin, and this scientist had discovered that human body can become visible. But in the chapter, we will see that he is misusing his great discovery rather than using it for the welfare of the society. So students, before we start with the line-by-line explanation from your chapter, let us have a brief points about the summary of this chapter. As I have told you, that this story is about a scientist whose name is Griffin, and Griffin had been discovering ways which could make a man invisible, and finally after he had swallowed certain rare drugs and after that he is being made invisible. So he was first noticed by the two boys in staircase of a house where they could see his footsteps, and they started following it. And they continuously followed it until the footsteps were fainter and they could not be seen. So first, as he is feeling cold, he enters a mall for some warmth, and after the stores shut down, he decides to wear some warm clothes and eat something. So he first unboxes a few clothes and wears them. Then from the kitchen of a restaurant, he eats cold meat and some coffee. Later he goes to a grocery store and eats sweets and drinks wine. He then falls asleep on a pile of quilts. He then wakes up in the morning when some of the store assistants had seen him and started chasing him. So what he did was that he quickly threw away all the clothes he was wearing and then became invisible again. And then he started roaming around again without any clothes in the cold winters of London. He now decides to steal clothes from a theatre company, as he knew he would get something there to cover his face as well. So then he steals bandages for his face, dark glasses, false nose, and a hat for covering himself. He then hits the shopkeeper and steals all his money. Soon he realizes that London is too crowded to live like this, and so he decides that he would go to a remote village. So he books 2 rooms at an inn, and he reaches there, and it is very strange for the people of Iping that a stranger with such a weird appearance has come to stay at an inn during the winter season, because in the winter season the footfall was very less in that area. So once his money is over, he steals from people and also hits the landlord and his wife when they try to check his room in his absence. Then the village constable is asked for help, but before that Mrs. Hall, the wife of the landlord, asks him questions regarding who he is and what he did to her furniture. And this also makes him very furious, and he decides to show her who actually he is. The people then see a headless man and Mr. Jaffers, who is he? He is the constable. He also finds out that he would have to arrest a man who does not have a head. They are unable to catch Griffin because he removes all his clothes, and then he becomes invisible again. He even knocks out Jaffers as he tries to catch him. So students, now let us start with the chapter Footprints Without Feet. Now in the box you can see a question: can a man become invisible? This is the story of a scientist who discovered how to make himself invisible. Does he use or misuse his discovery? That we will find out in the chapter. Read and find out. How did the invisible man become visible? And why was he wandering the streets? So let us begin with the chapter. The two boys started in surprise at the fresh muddy imprints of a pair of bare feet. What was a barefooted man doing on the steps of a house in the middle of London? And where was that man? Because that man could not be seen. As they gazed, a remarkable sight met their eyes. A fresh footmark appeared from nowhere. Further, footprints followed, one after another, descending the steps and progressing down the street. The boys followed, fascinated, because they were very much attracted. They were very much fascinated that what they could see is the only footprints, but could not physically see the man. So the boys followed fascinated until the muddy impressions became fainter and fainter and at last disappeared altogether. So students, here we see that these two boys were highly surprised because they can see the muddy impressions on the steps of a house in London, and they were the fresh footmarks of a barefooted man. The boys followed them. The impressions got fainter, and finally these impressions were disappeared. The explanation of the mystery was really simple enough. The bewildered boys, bewildered means highly surprised boys, had been following a scientist who had just discovered how to make the human body transparent. So the mystery of footmarks, this was quite simple. The boys were following a scientist and he had just discovered how to make the human body transparent. Griffin, the scientist, had carried out experiment after experiment to prove that the human body could become invisible, and finally he swallowed certain rare drugs and his body became as transparent as a sheet of glass, though it also remained as solid as glass. So now we see Griffin, who is a great scientist. He carried out many experiments to prove that human body could become invisible. And in the end, what he did was he swallowed some rare drugs, and after that his body became transparent. And brilliant scientist though he was, Griffin was rather a lawless person. His landlord disliked him and tried to eject him to throw out of their house. In revenge, Griffin set fire to the house, and because he was a lawless person, so he set fire to the house. To get away without being seen, he had to remove his clothes. Thus it was that he became homeless, wanderer, without clothes, without money, and quite invisible. So until he happened to step in some mud and left footprints as he walked. So I have told you that ultimately when he swallowed some rare drugs and his body became transparent, and it is clearly being shown that he was a lawless person. That was the reason that his landlords disliked him, and they tried to eject him. And in revenge, what Griffin did was that he set his house on fire. He escaped easily enough from the boys who followed his footprints in London. But his adventures were by no means over. He had chosen a bad time of the year to wander about London without clothes. It was a winter season. The air was bitterly cold and he could not do without clothes. Instead of walking about the streets, he decided to slip into the big London store for warmth. So what here we see is that it was a midwinter season and it was bitterly cold. So that means he had taken a very bad time when he tried the drugs to wander about in the streets of London. So closing time arrived, and As soon as the doors were shut, Griffin was able to give himself the pleasure of clothing and feeding himself without regard to expense. He broke open boxes and wrappers and fitted himself out with warm clothes. Soon with shoes and He broke open boxes and wrappers and fitted himself out with warm clothes. Soon, with shoes, an overcoat, and a wide-brimmed hat, he became a fully dressed and visible person. In the kitchen of the restaurant, he found cold meat and coffee, and he followed up the meal with sweets and wine taken from the grocery store. Finally, he settled down to sleep on a pile of quilt. If only Griffin had managed to wake up in good time, all might have been well. As it was, he did not wake up until the assistants were already arriving next morning. And when he saw a couple of them approaching, he panicked. Panicked means he got frightened and began to run. They naturally gave chase, and in the end he was able to escape only by quickly taking off his newly found clothes. So once more he found himself invisible but naked in the chill January air. So students, the air was now bitterly cold, I have told you, and this was a very wrong time which Griffin has chosen. And because he was, without clothes, so instead of walking about the streets, he entered a London store for warmth. He enjoyed the pleasure of clothes and food freely. He fitted himself out with warm clothes there, and he became fully dressed up with shoes, an overcoat, and a hat. And after putting on clothes, he became visible. So now he had cold meat and coffee, sweets and wine, everything from the grocery store. And now he slept on a pile of quilts. He did not wake up until the assistants arrived next morning. And when they came near, he panicked. He got frightened and he began to run. But he could become invisible, only he was totally naked without clothes. So he took off his newly found clothes, and once more he was without clothes. He was naked in the chill January air. So this time he decided to try the stock of a theatrical company in the hope of finding not only new clothes but also something that would hide the empty space above his shoulders. So shivering with cold, he hurried to Drury Lane, the center of the theatre world. And he soon found a suitable shop. He made his way invisible upstairs and came out a little later wearing bandages around his forehead, dark glasses, false nose, big bushy side whiskers, and a large hat. To escape without being seen, he callously, cruelly, he attacked the shopkeeper from behind, after which he also robbed him of all the money that he could find. So students, now he hurried to Drury Lane, and it was the center of the theatre world. And he found a shop he was searching for. So finally he came to this theatrical company, and he came upstairs because he was invisible right now. And but when he came out of the shop, he was wearing bandages around his forehead, and he was wearing dark glasses, false nose, side whiskers, and a large hat. And then he attacked a shopkeeper and robbed him of all the money he could find. So eager to get away from the crowded London, he took a train to the village of Iping, where he booked 2 rooms at the local inn, a small hotel. The arrival of a stranger at an inn in winter was in any case an unusual event, because footfall was very, very less, I have told you, in the season of winter. A stranger of such uncommon appearance set all tongues wagging. That means all the people started talking about this stranger. This made all people talk about this stranger. Mrs. Hall, she was the wife of the landlord, She made every effort to be, friendly with Griffin, but Griffin had no desire to talk and told her, "My reason for coming to Ipin is a desire for solitude." Solitude means loneliness. Because I want loneliness, for that reason I have come to Iping. I do not wish to be disturbed in my work, and besides, an accident has affected my face. That means he was giving his clearance, clarification he was giving, that why he was wearing those bandages. He said that recently he has met with an accident that has affected his face. And satisfied that her guest was an eccentric scientist, and in view of the fact that he had paid her in advance, Mrs. Hall was prepared to excuse his strange habits and irritable temper. But the stolen money did not last long, and presently Griffin had to admit that he had no more ready cash. So he pretended, however, that he was expecting a check to arrive at any moment. So students, what we see here is that Griffin wanted to get away from the crowded London. So he has come to the village, and he has booked 2 rooms also in this local inn, a small hotel. So arrival of the stranger with such a strange appearance that became the talk of the people. And Mrs. Hall tried to be very much friendly with her guest, and he told that he didn't want to be disturbed because he wants to live in loneliness for some period, and he wanted to be alone. She thought that her guest was an eccentric scientist, so even she did not mind his strange habits and irritable temper, because the cash was already being given to Mrs. Hall. So but this cash did not last for a longer period, and now Griffin was without cash. All his cash was finished, and he has told a lie that he was expecting a check at any moment. Shortly afterwards, a curious episode occurred. Very early in the morning, a clergyman and his wife were awakened by noises in the study. Creeping downstairs, they heard the chink of money. Chink means sound of money being taken from the clergyman's desk, without making any noise, and with the poker grasped firmly. Poker, what is poker? It is an instrument which is used to stoke fire. So he grasped a poker firmly in his hand so that he could attack if some thief is there. This clergyman flung open the door. That means he threw the door open and said, "Surrender." And then to his amazement, he realized that the room appeared to be empty. He and his wife looked under the desk and behind the curtains and even up the chimney. There wasn't a sign of anybody. Yet the desk had been opened and the housekeeping money was missing. So extraordinary affair, the clergyman kept saying for the rest of the day. But it was not as extraordinary as the behavior of Mrs. Hall's furniture a little later that morning. So students, here we have an incident, a very strange incident that happened. Clergyman is being robbed of, and a clergyman and his wife, they were awakened although by the noises which they heard in the study very early in the morning. So they came downstairs, and because they were hearing the chink of money being taken from the desk, and clergyman was carrying a poker in his hand, and when he threw the door open and shouted "Surrender," he was surprised to see that there was no one in the room. They looked under the desk, behind the curtains, and even up the chimney, but nobody was there. They found the desk open and the money was missing. They were highly surprised, but still they could not understand anything. So now further the author says that it was not as extraordinary as the behavior of Mrs. Hall's furniture a little later that morning. Now let us see what happened to Mrs. Hall's furniture, because Mrs. Hall also showed very strange behavior. So the landlord and his wife, they were up very early and were surprised to see the scientist's door wide open. Usually it was shut and locked, and he was furious if anyone has entered his room. The opportunity seemed too good to be missed. They peeped round the door, saw nobody, and decided to investigate. The bedclothes were cold, showing that the scientist must have been up for some time. And stranger still, the clothes and bandages that he always wore were lying about the room. All of a sudden, Mrs. Hall heard a sniff close to her ear. Sniff means breathing from the nose, as if, although she was not able to see Griffin, but she could hear the sniffing sound, the breathing coming from the nose. A moment later, the hat on the bedpost leapt up and dashed itself into her face. Then the bedroom chair became alive, springing into the air. That means it started jumping into the air, and it charged straight at her legs foremost. And now it has attacked her legs. Foremost means first it attacked her legs. As she and her husband turned away in terror, the extraordinary chair pushed them both out of the room and then appeared to slam. Slam is to shut down with force, and locked the door after them. Mrs. Hall almost fell down the stairs in hysterics. Hysterics is the wild reactions. She was convinced that the room was haunted by some spirits, and that the stranger had somehow caused these to enter into her furniture. My poor mother used to sit in that chair, she moaned, she cried. To think it should rise up against me now. So the feeling among the neighbors was that the trouble was caused by the witchcraft. But witchcraft or not, when news of the burglary at the clergyman's home became known, the strange scientist was strongly suspected of having had a hand in it. Suspicion grew even stronger when he suddenly produced some ready cash, though he had admitted long before that he had no money. So students, the landlord and his wife, who was his wife? Mrs. Hall. They both woke up very early in the morning, and they found that Griffin's door was wide open, and usually it was shut and locked. So what they did was, they peeped around but found no one. They found Griffin's clothes and bandages, they were lying about, and all of a sudden Mrs. Hall also heard a sniff, that means a breathing sound, close to her ear. A hat leapt up and dashed itself into her face, and then the chair also became alive, and both of them turned away in fear. Then chair pushed them both out of the room, and the door was slammed and locked after them. Now Mrs. Hall was almost fell down the stairs, and she started crying, and they were sure that the room was being haunted by the spirits. The villagers suspected that the trouble was caused by the witchcraft, but when the news of burglary of the clergyman's home became known, everyone doubted that Griffin's hand could be in it. And this suspicion grew stronger when Griffin suddenly showed some ready task, and he had no cash before a few days. The village constable was secretly sent for. Instead of waiting for the constable, Mrs. Hall went to the scientist, who had somehow mysteriously appeared from his empty bedroom. I want to know what you have been doing to my chair upstairs, she demanded. And I want to know how it is you came out of an empty room and how you entered a locked room. The scientist was always quick-tempered. He was short-tempered. Now he became furious. You don't understand who or what I am, he shouted. Very well, I'll show you. And suddenly he threw off bandages, whiskers, spectacles, and even his false nose. It took him only a minute to do this. The horrified people in the bar found themselves staring at that headless man. So now this invisible man shows himself. Mrs. Hall went to Griffin's room. He was there. She asked him what he was doing there to her chairs upstairs. She also asked how he entered a locked room. The scientist lost his temper. He became furious and cried, "I'll show you." And suddenly he threw away all the bandages, whiskers, spectacles, and even his nose. And the horrified men in the bar were staring at a headless man. Mr. Jeffers, the constable, now arrived and was quite surprised to find that he had to arrest a man without a head. But Jeffers was not easily prevented from doing his duty. If a magistrate's warrant ordered a person arrest, then that person had to be arrested with or without his head. And there followed a remarkable scene as the policeman tried to get hold of a man who was becoming more and more invisible as he threw off one garment after another. Finally, a shirt flew into the air, and the constable found himself struggling with someone he could not see at all. Some people tried to help him, but found themselves hit by blows that seemed to come from nowhere. In the end, Jeffers was knocked unconscious as he made a last attempt to hold on to the unseen scientist. There were nervous, excited cries of "Hold him!" but this was easier said than done. And Griffin had shaken himself free, and no one knew where to lay hands on him. So now we see the encounter with this strange scientist with Constable Jeffers. The police constable who had been informed arrived now. He was totally surprised to find that he was to arrest a man without a head. Now there followed a wonderful scene. The scientist Griffin started throwing his clothes one by one. He was becoming more and more visible as he threw off one garment after another. And finally, the man became invisible. Some people who tried to hold him, they were beaten by the unseen blows that came from nowhere. In the end, Jeffers was also knocked unconscious. Nervous and excited people were crying, "Hold him!" Griffin was invisible and free now. No one knew where to lay hands on him now. So dear students, what we have seen is that the story is describing a brilliant scientist, Griffin, who has degenerated himself into a lawless person. Griffin discovered that human body could become transparent and invisible, but he misused his discovery. He did not use the power of invisibility for the welfare of the society and humanity at large. He misused it to threaten trouble and beat innocent persons and rob them. He made illegal entries into stores and shops and stole things from there. He committed a burglary in a clergyman's house in Iping, and Griffin remained invisible or unseen only when he was without clothes. If he put on clothes, he lost his invisibility and could be seen by the people around him. So the lesson gives us a message that misuse of science and its great discoveries can make even a brilliant scientist like Griffin a monster and a threatening, lawless person. So students, here I end the chapter, and your doubts and queries which you will be having related to this chapter will be sorted out in the virtual section. Till then, goodbye everyone.